My name is Anna Susarenco and I am from Moldova. And since 2015, I was one of the main facilitators of global youth advocacy workshops on global citizenship education and leadership. I was also Moldova representative in the UN Global Education First initiative as member of Youth Advocacy group and one of the founders of Peer-to-Peer Education Network in Moldova. In this lesson, I would like to speak about advocacy and the importance of youth engagement in global citizenship education. Many of you have questions like what is advocacy, what is GCED, and why we need to advocate for it. As we know, the world has seen significant economic, political, social, and cultural changes during the last 2 centuries. Most countries have experienced or have been affected by industrialization and globalization. Science and digital revolution have transformed infrastructure, transport, and communication. Despite these advances, the world faces many challenges, including growing contradictions and widening inequalities. In this globalized world, the notion of citizenship based primarily on national identity and expectations is not sufficient. Nations are part of a global village, linked together by complex relationships across all spheres of life. We also live in an era with the largest scale of population movement in history, due to migration, conflict, education, economic and cultural exchange, and tourism. Today, many people have multiple citizenship identities. There is a growing consensus that education plays a central role in increasing understanding of global issues and in promoting peace, human rights, equity, acceptance of diversity, and sustainable development. In a globally interconnected and interdependent world, education needs to address values and communication skills, as well as cognitive knowledge and skills. GCED promotes the concept of a global citizen in terms of citizenship beyond borders or beyond the nation state. Global citizens are individuals who think and act for a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world. To be a global citizen means to have a sense of belonging to the common humanity, solidarity and collective responsibility at the local and global level, a framework for a collective action towards a better world and future, in line with civic duty and civic volunteerism. For all of this, most probably we'll still need to change our education system, way of teaching, and attitudes towards learning. That is why advocacy is an important part of global citizen today. Advocacy is about speaking the truth to the power and the call for change in order to have better life conditions. It includes voice, space, and accountability. And when I say voice, I mean 1. An issue, 2. A group of people affected by this issue and their willingness to solve it, and 3. A very organized working plan that includes clear actions to be taken in order to solve the issue. When I say space, I mean the legal space that can be used to make the voice of citizens heard by decision makers. When I say accountability, I mean the responsibility of the elected representatives to act in the interest of their citizens. When these 3 things connect, and we have space occupied by citizens' voice and accountability from decision makers, any issue can be solved. But most of the time, these 3 circles are not connected, and there is a huge need to advocate for citizens' priorities. That is why we encourage young people around the world to take action and start advocating and making their voice heard. In order to have a good advocacy campaign, we suggest several steps to be taken. First, analyze what is the space existing in your country. Is there a law on petition? Are there organized public consultations? Maybe you have a citizens' participation council. Or maybe there are other ways you can use to communicate with the power, with decision makers. Sometimes you'll need to organize a public event, or even a march or protest. Sometimes just to attend a consultation meeting can be enough. Second, build your voice. Make sure you know all the details and you are demanding for something that is not in place yet, or something that is really actual for your country. Third is about accountability. You have to be accountable to yourself first, and in front of your supporters. If you ask something from one of your supporters, like a signature for a petition, be accountable. Inform him or her about the results you achieved. Make sure you communicate with your supporters while the advocacy campaign is going on. Do not wait for the issue to be solved. Make sure you inform your supporters about each step in solving the issue. And of course, demand accountability from decision makers. You have to ask decision makers to be accountable in front of those who they represent. And by having a good communication with your supporters, will be easier for you to hold decision makers accountable. No one is saying that it's easy to make these three circles to be connected. Even may be very difficult, but for sure it is possible. In order to have good advocacy campaign, you can follow the next 6 steps. Step number 1 is to identify the issue you want to advocate for. An issue that is a priority for citizens in your community or country. An issue that you are passionate about it and makes you angry, but also willing to work in order to change it. Do research and try to know as much as possible about your issue. Step 2 will be to set your goal, which represents the change you want to see. Think about how your community will look like if the issue will be solved. Step 3 is to set your targets. Whom you want to reach, who has the power to influence, and who has interest to solve the issue you are advocating for. Step number 4 will be related to your objectives, which are smaller than your goal and actually cuts your goal in pieces, so you can act better, because after you are setting the goal and the objectives, you have to set the actions. So here comes step number 5, to define your actions. This should be something you can do and you have power and enough resources to do. That is why it's very important to have a clear idea what kind of resources you have and what kind of resources you need. Adapt your plan according to what you can. Try to be realistic but also flexible. A good advocacy campaign has also a good message. So you have to be focused on what you say, to whom you say, and what they should do after you say your message. So the step number 6 will be to develop a good message for your campaign that has emotions for heart, statistics for brain, and actions for hands. Remember, heart, brain, hands. And every time when you say your message, make sure the person or the audience know exactly what they should do after they hear you. Maybe they should sign a petition, or to come to a meeting, or to talk to a friend. If you have all these 6 steps on paper, then start to put them in practice, because practice makes it better. Advocacy is not easy and may go up and down. For this, you need to monitor your results and celebrate every time when you have achievements. Do not wait to celebrate just the final result. Celebrate all small achievements on your way to the big change. Maybe now you ask yourself, why is this addressed to young people and why voices of young people matter? I have spoken about voices so much in the beginning, but why especially the voices of young people matter? Why decision makers will be willing to hear the voices of young people? And why this is actual now? Today we have the largest youth population in the history. So world is about youth. 1.8 billion of the persons today are young persons, or almost every third person in the world is a young person. So why to listen to them? Because they are many, and they are those that are making the things to happen. A young person today is a learner, a follower, initiator, educator, leader, and contributor. Youth today are so connected and mobile, so smart and capable, that without hearing their voice, it's almost impossible to take good decisions and make sure you represent citizens' voices. Youth today are in the middle of big movements, changes, conflicts, and solutions. To conclude our lecture, I want to emphasize again that GCED aims to empower learners to assume an active role to face and resolve global challenges, and to become a proactive contributor to a more peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, and secure world. Global citizenship promotes the concept of citizens as active and informed participants in all aspects of life: political, economic, social, and cultural, rather than as passive individuals who uncritically follow and obey social norms, rules, and laws. Active citizens engage in civic actions in the public domain to promote a better world and future, based on the universal values of human rights, democracy, justice, non-discrimination, diversity, and sustainability. In the end, I want to leave you with a quote by Ban Ki-moon, former UN Secretary General. Education gives us a profound understanding that we are tied together as citizens of the global community, that our challenges are interconnected. Without a good education and understanding of the world challenges, it will be very difficult to ensure decent jobs, safe environment, and true leadership for next generations. If you ask yourself what is the motivation of an advocate, then think that there are people that make things happen. There are people that participate, and there are people who just asked what happened. So decide for yourself which of these kind of persons you want to be. And if you want to make things happen, then think big, start small, and act now.